Hey friends, Brandy here with Falcon Healing Arts, where I help women and their families heal on every layer of their being. And in this video today, I'm sharing a divination message and energy update for the month of July that I think you will find very interesting. So this was recorded in my Falcon Healing Circle Facebook group where I offer exclusive content. This divination message is the only one that I share from the group to my YouTube and Instagram channels. So if you want that exclusive content and the chance to engage with me further and be supported by a wonderful group of people, you can find the link in the description below. I hope you enjoy the video. Well wishes, friend. And today we are talking about the energy that I am picking up on that you can align to or just be aware of it happening, how to deal with it. And also talk about some pressures that we are also needing to deal with too. I'm usually not nervous for these sessions. I'm feeling it a lot today because that is the general energy that we are feeling in the collective. A lot of people are really nervous, very anxious, very fearful about the future. So it's this forward thinking and the uncertainty of it that is getting everyone really emotionally upset. And these are really challenging subjects that we need to look at. So this is the whole theme of our talk today, of this divination message that came through. And it was very interesting because it was just pouring in yesterday when I connected. And I felt good about it. I slept great last night. And then this morning I did a bit more of a journey and wrote it all down. And then I was like, oh shit, now I need to talk about it. So just know that I am powering up and being really brave with this. And this is something we are all going to need to do. Okay, so this is the energy. It's this anticipating something that might be challenging that we need to talk about or work through, but it is going to get us to a better place. So it's worth looking at, really feeling these strong emotions, knowing that you are going to get to a better place. So when I first, let me just tell you how this is going to work. I'm going to share the journey, the messages that came through. Then I'm going to talk about this tarot spread I did, which tells a journey, more of the spiritual process of what's going on around us. And I'm going to pull a goddess card for us at the end. I will also be talking about the Free Your Authenticity challenge that I'm going to be hosting in the group here. So stay on until the end to get some preview details about that. I will be sharing more next week. All right, so when I first checked in yesterday, an image that came in immediately was a snake who was moving through a crowd, and a pretty big crowd, and people were like, oh my God, trying to avoid the snake. They were so afraid of it, and it was intimidating them too. It was rising up and pretending like it was going to bite, really reminding me of the scene from the first Harry Potter movie where he accidentally dissolves the glass at the zoo and the snake that was behind the glass comes out and is escaping. But that wasn't the sense here. It wasn't that the snake was just trying to escape and getting people out of its way. It was that the snake was intimidating people on purpose. And these people felt like they had no power against the snake, that of course something so terrifying they had to avoid and were getting out of the way. And then a hawk or some type of bird of prey came in and just easily removed the snake. Who knows? I don't know what it did with it. The snake seems to represent a few things for me. You may read this differently, but you are listening through my filter. So just take or leave any of this that I bring up. And what I'm going to bring up is going to be reassuring and even inspiring for some people. It's going to be very confronting for others. So that's another reason why I'm feeling really nervous about this, is I know I most likely will be pissing some people off. But this is the truth. Okay, so we need to be seeing the truth. The hawk represents the truth. The hawk comes in and removes the fear from the situation. Okay? When we see the truth, we have more confidence. With the truth on your side, you can speak your truth. Like, no one can argue with that. And you came to a certain conclusion about a certain topic from your either direct experience or learned experience through your life, even from other people in situations. But this is a journey that you have made by yourself. So you stand by that truth. The truth is what's going to set you free. The truth is what's going to help you talk about these things. Because again, it provides you power and certainty that this is true for you. And a lot of the things that we're needing to confront are deep moral questions. And the reason it's so confronting is that we have all these policies that are being made or removed or changed that may conflict with your beliefs. And I truly believe that you can still live free inside with restrictions around you. However, being in a place where you can see both sides, you are better able to influence a decision that is more middle ground. So the snake to me is representing these extreme views on any situation. But not just extreme views, because I actually have very extreme views on a few things that I may mention in a moment. But I'm not forcing people to believe what I believe. Because again, I have this unique journey. Not everyone is in the same place I am, and I totally understand that. So we don't want these extreme views that we need to adhere to politically and socially. I feel like a lot more people are going to lose if that's something we need to adhere to. So the snake, again, is these extreme views that are being forced on us, maybe even are like bully energy. Like, you need to believe this or you're not a true whatever. Or you need to be so afraid because you're going to lose this, like forcing your belief by making someone feel bad, keeping them anxious and fearful. That's what the snake is representing. And we need to look at that. In order to get into this middle ground, we need to see the extreme views. Again, you're not good or bad by having an extreme view, but you need to be able to see the other side in order to understand the middle ground and to even live with it. So that is, of course, going to be harder for people who have these extreme views. So I will give you an example just to show. I know it's vague, so it's good to have examples anyway, but just to show you where my mind is on certain situations. So for me, I have a lot of what might be considered extreme views on parenting. I homeschool my son. I practiced attachment parenting, which meant that I prioritized his emotional health. I breastfed him for years, for 4.5 years, longer than I thought I ever would. We co-slept for a long time. So I'm very aware that many people think this is indulgent, and I don't care. It worked out for us. I would never tell another mom to do this unless she was complaining about her relationship with her child, and I thought that they might be open to exploring some of these things. Because a lot of these practices promote attachment parenting, and you have this strong bond with your child because of all this, because this journey that you've went through that is so tight. And so again, I feel, and it's hard to say whether views are enlightened or not. Like, of course it does feel like that to me a bit. And that's part of the truth and strength behind this. That's why it's so important to me. But someone else may be prioritizing their work life and need their children to understand that they can't be there all the time. Having that boundary, I totally understand, is important too. Luckily, there's no policy that we're having to deal with around any of that, although like the co-sleeping thing, there's a lot of pressure not to sleep with your child, a lot of fear around that, around hurting them and everything, which is absolutely not true. So there's a lot of data and truth around that I can point to as well. But anyway, this is just one of the examples. Another one that's more controversial, I have a more extreme view on, is circumcision. That I actually personally believe that it's traumatic for a boy. I do believe that affects their emotional health, maybe even their relationship with their parent. It affects the bond in the beginning, in my opinion. And I know it's extremely unpopular, although it's becoming more and more talked about because people see these two different sides. So hardly ever, and you may have more sway when it has to do with parenting, but hardly ever is someone influential when they have an extreme view, or when they're pushing it, but more influential when they are talking more about the middle ground and the extremes as well. So anyway, just want you to have this background too, and that these things I'm bringing up, again, I'm not forcing, I'm trying not to influence you in any way other than considering the many views on these situations. Everything is coming up now for a reason. We are seeing polarization, we are seeing divide, but it doesn't have to be that way. We do not need to be divided. We are seeing the polar opposites so that we can find common ground. Okay, and that's the hawk coming in. We're talking about these different truths. You're finding your own. You're not swaying anyone else to join you, because when you're trying to do that, it's typically out of insecurity. Okay, we'll be getting into that big time. I haven't said that in a while, big time. But anyway, we'll be getting into that with the For Your Authenticity Challenge for sure. Okay, so what else did so I also, and this may be triggering too, but the snake to me also represents the medical system. So the snake around the staff is medicine in many traditions. And we're seeing this system, we're seeing many systems collapse here in the United States and globally, but we are really seeing this scrutiny more on the medical system here in the United States. There are a lot of truths that we need to confront about it that make people uncomfortable. They want to believe that the doctors and the government, all these authority figures, always have their best interests in mind, but we need to start looking at the motivations, the intentions, the alliances that are in this system that do not actually have everyone's best interest in mind. In my opinion, a lot of, and again, this is an extreme view, it's becoming a lot more accepted because we're talking about it. We're talking about this shadow of the medical system. That yes, absolutely, there are life-saving practices, but there is a huge shadow as well where people are getting hurt. You have probably heard that medical error, I believe, is the number 2 cause of death in this country. So it is a truth. But we need to be turning this lens on specific practices that people do not want to admit. So one uncomfortable thing we need to look at is pharmaceutical drugs, including shots. And there's a huge, my mind is going blank, I think, because there is just so much of a block here talking about this. It's either really good or it's really bad. Again, we need to see both sides and find a common ground. But I personally believe all the policy needs to be in this middle ground around the medical situation, specifically around mandates, forced treatments, or preventative procedures. Because there are people like me who practice indigenous medicine, who have more faith in this medicine and don't want these other pressures that are very patriarchal and are moving more toward totalitarianism. So there's a lot of, I know, emotion around all of that too. But this is something we need to look at as well, especially this recent shot. We are starting to see more instances where people are not putting two and two together, and there is truth there that people do not want to see. So not wanting to scare people, but just look into this about the increasing aggressive cancers, cases of myocarditis, the sudden adult death syndrome is just now being created. Sure, there were instances before. It's happening a lot more now. So just question, and really question if you are in these two polar opposite sides of a particular situation, whether it is the shots or gun rights or abortion, environmental issues. These are all coming up. It's going to get more and more heated in order for us to confront and talk about them. Okay? Whew. So that is all the social, political stuff that my guides are wanting me to bring up now. And I'm so glad I got this out into the world here for you to deal with now. It's off my heart. All right, so let us look into this tarot story now, which aligns perfectly with this message of the snake, the hawk, the truth, the fear disappearing. But try not to be put off by this first card. So it is the Death card, which is actually quite beautiful. So this is the goddess Nut at the top, the Egyptian goddess Nut, who swallows the sun. She's in the night sky. And there is the phoenix that is rising up out of this darkness. So I personally feel like we all need to be thinking about physical death more. That's why there has been so much fear over these last 2 years with this global pandemic, is that people hadn't fully thought about this before and had really confronted their mortality. So that is still there. That is still there for us to look at. But I don't feel like that's the main message that's coming through right now. It's more about all the metaphorical deaths that we need to deal with, and especially with these social, political things I was just mentioning, these polarities and these extremist views, aligning with teams and political parties, all these other agencies that are forcing pressure on us to believe a certain thing or a certain way. So I feel like that needs to drop off, that we need to stop spouting certain slogans and really just start talking to people about our own beliefs and going deeper. Because when we're spouting these slogans, we're not talking about the shadow. So it is confronting the shadow. This is a lot of what this death card is bringing up, is looking at the darkness, looking at what needs to stop. So behavior too, in order to transform. So we're now talking on a personal level and what we are adding to the community. because all this emotion that we're feeling in the collective is from individuals. And you know that you can influence that by bringing more peace and understanding out into the world. Okay, so really confronting this pushing of needing to accept extremist policy. And that by doing that, it's stunting your growth, it's stunting the transformation. So we just need to pay attention to it. Okay, the second card is the Eight of Pentacles. So I don't know how well you could see this, but there are hands up at the top that are coming down from the stars, the sky, the universe. There's the moon phases in this wheel, and animals all around the wheel. So the circle of life, and that there's this like divine influencing. And reading into the card more from the author of this deck. So this is the Star Tarot, by the way, by Kathy McClelland. I love this so much. It is very beautiful and very positive. There's a positive meaning behind all of these cards. So this one, she says, is weaving your magic. So what are you adding to the creative force of the universe? So this is what I was just talking about. What are you adding? How are you influencing? Are you influencing from one of these sides of trying to make people believe a certain way, or are you just living your life and modeling and inspiring? But this is also a time to, after you're confronting all these political pressures and stating your views, to then go inward. There's no need to stay out there. You now need to live your life, and this is the perfect time to explore some new interests, to build up some talents you have, to develop stronger skills. Whatever it is that you've really been wanting to do, and you feel like everything that's been happening around us has been clouding that, once you start talking about all this stuff, and my guides were saying airing your dirty laundry, like that used to be such an inappropriate thing to do, to share these uncomfortable things in public. The more you do that, the more freeing it is, especially when you're not trying to influence people and you're like, I just need to say this so I can be free. So once you get to that point, you can then start exploring these other things that you deeply desire. And that's when you start to change the whole vibration of what you are putting out into the world. You're no longer small and being like, oh, I want to do this, but I can't because they're making me be this certain way. It's putting excuses and blame on other people too. So the Eight of Pentacles is you're also not letting other people's expectations hold you back. And your confidence is going to grow when you really follow this. All right, next is the Knight of Pentacles. I love so much where this story is going. So the Knight of Pentacles here. So this is the Archangel Uriel. And he is depicted here as a shaman. He has this trillium as his shield. There's a horse grazing in the background, crystals all around him, feathers, very magical. And he, okay, so first, you all know that I'm a shamanic practitioner, and we're considered, I love my teachers, many of my teachers have said this, that we are gardeners of the universe. So we are working within different realities of the universe, different layers of this reality and the spirit world, and we're trying to influence positivity and transformation. So we're gardening in that way. We're helping people grow. And that is why I am so called to this practice, because that is I know that's my role. That's why I'm here. And so whenever this card comes up, it's either something personal for me to work with, but here this is something for you all to work with too, is how can you be a gardener of transformation in your life? So very similar to the Eight of Pentacles, that weaving your magic, but this has more to do with dedicating to the evolution of the earth. Okay, so taking the natural world into account here and aligning with that. So this is moving us more toward spirit, toward our alignment, our dependency on Mother Nature, also feeling that we can rely on divine support too. And sometimes when we are in an extreme view on one side, and even certain political parties, spirit is taken out of the equation. And when you bring it in, it is easier to understand. So that middle ground, being able to see both sides, is a spiritual path. So something to consider too, if you're being triggered by anything that I've brought up so far, that is highlighting something that you can be working on to heal. And there is a spiritual root typically underneath that. So if you need any help in exploring that, I'm here for you. Okay, so what else? Oh, so Archangel Uriel in this card is also asking us to take full responsibility for this life, for your life. So also going back toward the medical system, that when you stop relying on that so much, you're going to be taking more responsibility in your life for your actions, for your choices. This card, the author is also saying in this card that it represents how we nourish ourselves. So eating the right foods for our constitution, whole foods that are not processed or adulterated, doing practices that really fuel us on every layer of our being, like yoga. So working with the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of the self, bringing meditation into that so you are consciously aware of what you are doing and why. This is part of taking responsibility. He advocates for exercise too, but not too much. So appropriate exercise from a point of self-love. Okay? And we culminate this story with the star. This is my favorite card. So this vibrant, beautiful star depicted as a woman. You see the star above her head, circling her crown, illuminating her whole being. And she's dipping her toe into this pool, which I believe is the world. So there is this connection she's making from above to below. As above, so below. As within, so without, or however it goes. But this is the guiding light. This is divine support. This is offering you wholeness and inspiration, that it is possible. And to focus on your path toward your specific destiny. So, trusting in this process, that everything that is happening right now is working for you. Even if you are feeling that this is pulling you down, you are so upset by everything that is happening, it's because it's making you question. It's making you look at your beliefs. It's making you decide what is true for you, and then again, to live your life. Stop just being caught up in what is external and not immediately affecting you. That's again projecting into the future. what is happening right now, how is this serving you right now, and trust that this is helping you on your spiritual path. And I was just saying, it is hard for people based on their beliefs. Maybe they feel like spirit abandoned them at one point or was never there for them. This is, the root here is what you deserve to. Maybe you feel like you don't deserve that support. Maybe you believe that you're more powerful doing everything on your own. This is very much tied in with ego. And I have had to work with this tremendously in my healing work, is not putting all the pressure on me to come up. Like, all of this I'm telling you now is not coming from me, that I'm being led to tell you this. That's how I'm being supported. That's where I'm getting my power. That's where I'm getting my bravery. It's not the ego. If you don't like what I'm saying, I'm okay with that, because I know this had to be said and I'm not taking it personally. But again, we need to be looking at that if we're feeling like we are turning away from this light, from this guidance, because you don't believe that it could be there, you don't believe that it's possible, you don't believe you deserve that support, you don't believe that you need that support. That is a huge spiritual root of the challenging situations you may be experiencing right now. So worthy to look at. Again, everything is happening for a reason and is aligned with our spiritual path. Okay? So hopefully that is not new to you if you are on this channel. I feel that in holistic health, people avoid the spiritual, and that's why they don't get the results that they need and even desire. Because I do believe your higher self is wanting to go there. It's when the ego gets in the way, or when we're influenced too much by other people, when we feel like it's not safe to, or again, not needed or appropriate. So let us end by pulling a goddess card together. Hopefully this aligns with everything I've been saying, being led to say here. But again, I'm taking the pressure off because it's not me that's pulling the card, and there's going to be one that just jumps out that needs to be looked at. Okay, it's this one. Ooh, okay. So a lot of people are feeling this right now. This is Sekhmet, anger and rage. Anger and rage. So let me read the poem that goes along with Sekhmet. I was just at the Egyptian Museum in San Jose too, and I've been way more into Horus, who is the god with the falcon head. Falcon Healing Arts. Like, it really hit me when I was in there looking at his statue, like, oh my god, this is so significant. So I need to look into that personally. But Isis, Osiris, Sekhmet, Nut, like was in this other card, they are all coming in super strongly. Okay, Sekhmet, anger and rage. I burn and fume and shoot daggers from my eyes. I erupt and roar, though you've not pulled my tail. My edges are sharp and I cut deep. My energy is strong and fierce, and my displeasure needs to be expressed. Though sometimes mild, I can be very intense. Once incited, I am difficult to put out. I am always appropriate, always needed. Don't try to get rid of me. I need to be acknowledged and heard. I am anger. Whoo, this is huge. Yeah, so I wasn't feeling the anger as much, but I know many of you are feeling it. And again, that needs to be talked about too. So this is from Amy Sophia Marashinsky. I've had this Goddess Oracle for a long time. Let me just read. I feel like I need to read what she says. So Sekhmet leaps into your life to help you face your anger. Does anger, yours or someone else's, make you feel uncomfortable? Do you fear your anger because you were taught anger isn't nice, or that expressing anger is ugly? Have you repressed or disconnected from it so much that you don't know how to express it? Perhaps you've gone beyond anger to rage. Rage is accumulated anger gone out of control. Perhaps you're in a slow boil all the time and don't know how to take the pot from the fire. Sekhmet says our anger is part of our power as women. Don't give away your anger. Okay, that is so interesting. Don't give away your anger. That's power. Learn to express it in a way that can be heard. Oh my God. Okay. Your path to wholeness will be more vital when you can make anger your ally. So again, people are not going to hear you when you're shouting at them in their face. And that's what I feel like those of us with extreme views who are pushing them on others, that's what we can do. It actually pushes people away instead of inviting them to open their ears and to listen to us. And then we get mad at them more when it's something we could have been more sensitive about, I guess. All right, friends. So next week, here in the Falcon Healing Circle, I will be promoting the Free Your Authenticity Challenge. So you're going to be learning more about it then. I'll be sending it out in my email too and doing a video on YouTube. But basically, it's going to be this 5-day challenge that will be going out in email and in the Falcon Healing Circle. I'll be showing up live in our Facebook group here. We will have prizes for your participation in this work. So you do need to be in the Facebook group in order to win the prizes. And I'll be giving you a preview next week of them. But this challenge is going to move you from feeling like you need to conform to the expectations of others. It's going to help you release from that and to break free. So it's very much about this message for July, which we consider July, with the 4th of July being about independence and freedom. So that is why I am hosting this the week after the 4th of July. So from July 11th through the 15th. I really believe that we can all benefit from this work. I'm still creating the content for it. We'll see what comes out in the moment, but there's so much work I've done on myself that allows me to live fully free. And I want to help teach that and share that with you so you can also get to this point of feeling free inside, regardless of what is happening around you. So stay tuned for that, friends. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you resonated with this. Let me know if you were triggered by this message. Let me know if you have any questions. I am very happy to answer them. Take care.